Thank you for joining us today for our program, What's Up with Adolescents and Pregnancy. I'm Jasmine Abner. I'm the SRAE Program Coordinator with the Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Branch in the Children's Health Division at ADPH. Continuing education credits have been approved for nurses and social workers for today's program. In order to receive credit for this training, you must watch the entire program, then complete and return the sign-in sheet and evaluation. While content may continue to be relevant, CE credit will only be awarded for 2 years, expiring on May 17, 2024. If you are watching this program on demand and want to receive a social work CE certificate, you will need to complete the social work test and send it in, along with your sign-in sheet and evaluation. If you are watching this program live, there is no need for social work tests. It's not required. For social workers, if you are watching this program live, it qualifies for classroom hours. If you are watching on demand, it is considered non-classroom hours. I have a lot of important information to cover today, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, today's information will provide a general overview of teen pregnancy trends in Alabama, explain the behavioral impact of social media on adolescents and teen pregnancy prevention. We'll also explain evidence-based intervention strategies that are used to decrease teen pregnancy, discuss ADPH's initiatives to address teen pregnancy throughout the state, list available resources that clinical and non-clinical service providers can access when working with adolescent teenagers. All right, so teen pregnancy is a huge public health issue. Unwanted pregnancies at any age can lead to lifelong consequences, which has a huge impact for teens, and of course it would be much greater in their age range. High teenage pregnancy rates are linked to high levels of social exclusion and poor knowledge of contraception. Being a teenage parent can lead to an increase in relative poverty, unemployment, poor education, achievements, and poor health of the child. As you can see here on the right, there are some impacts for the mother as well as the child, including some of medical issues, including STD complications, premature death, and depression. Some social impacts for the mother, social isolation, non-completing education, and not living independently. And for the child, some medical impacts including low birth weight, high risk of death, growth restrictions, not being able to breastfeed, having infections and SIDS. And some of the social impacts is that if it is a female, is more likely to be a teen mother herself. High teenage pregnancy rates are a reflection of poor sexual health practice. Teenage pregnancy is an important public health issue because integrated actions across several sectors is needed. Many teenage pregnancies are unplanned. There is also the complexity of providing maternal services for teenagers who decide to continue on with their pregnancy. The improvement of sexual health services education can result in fewer pregnancies and STIs, as well as healthier sexual attitudes and behavior. Effective ways of reducing unintended conceptions include improved access to services, better sex education, and linking into plans to reduce sexually transmitted infections. So just a snapshot of where Alabama is according to the latest data. Teen pregnancy rates in 2021 ranked 5th in the United States, right behind Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. And as you can see here on the state map, that kind of focuses more in the southern states across the board. The teen pregnancy rate decreased by 51% from 2008 to 2017, but still pretty high, so we have a ways to go. The decline may be due to more teens having the knowledge, skills, and access to make informed sexual health decisions. Also, adolescents remain disproportionately affected by STIs. Some more teen pregnancy facts. As you can see on the right, there was a 46% drop. And since 2008, the teen pregnancy rate for females between the age of 10 and 19 have decreased by 50%. However, the U.S. still remains the highest in the developed world. And in 2017, the Alabama state teen pregnancy rate was 19.2. And here, those counties that are colored darker are the 7 counties who were between 50 to 99% higher than the state rate, which are the counties of Franklin, Marshall, Fayette, Greene, Hale, Coosa, and Conecuh. In 2019, around about 38% of high school students had ever had sexual intercourse. Fewer students had ever had sex from 2009 through 2019. In 2019, roughly 27% of high school students were currently sexually active, meaning that they had had sexual intercourse with at least one person during the last 3 months. And although all groups have made notable progress over the last few decades, about 23% fewer black students reported ever having sex. Well, there's a positive trend was that the most notable decrease was in the black students, a 19% drop in the percentage of black students who were currently sexually active. Also in 2019, about 9% of sexually active high school students used dual methods of protection the last time they had sex, meaning they used a hormonal birth control with condoms as well. The percentage of all students using the recommended dual method to protect against both STDs and unintended pregnancy is still too low, but especially among Hispanic students. In 2019, only about 9% of high school students had been tested for STIs during that past year. More black students had been tested for STDs during the past year than white students, and more females versus male during that same time frame. It is necessary to understand the associated risk and protective factors in order to appropriately implement prevention efforts. Risk factors encourage or promote behavior that increase the likelihood of teen pregnancy, while protective factors decrease these behaviors. I have 4 factors here that I want to talk about today, including the individual, which includes the teen's attitudes, beliefs, and behavior around sexual health and decision making. Then you have the family, which is affected by the economic status and the household structure. Education, depending on the academic level reached, and sexual health information, the competency that develops from that. And the community, whether they have available resources, access to external support and influence. So I have 8 risk factors, and right now we're going to talk about 4 for teen pregnancy. Living in poverty and more rural areas with a lack of access to available resources. Frequent family conflict and dysfunction. Early sexual activity and limited maternal education achievements. Having a mother who gave birth before the age of 20. Early use of drugs and alcohol. Low self-esteem and negative peer and partner pressure, as well as being from a single parent home, puts you at greater risk for teen pregnancy. And then we have the protective factors, including gain accurate knowledge of sexual health and the consequences of unplanned pregnancy and the transmission of STDs, including HIV. Open communication with partner, adequate access to sexual health resources, and whether they have parental trusted adult supports and family, healthy family dynamics. Also, the intent to abstain from any type of sexual intercourse, positive peer pressure, high self-esteem, and having a limited number of sexual partners increase the protectiveness of you being exposed to prevent teen pregnancy. So here we have some reasons why sexual health is important for adolescents. First, it's important to avoid negative health consequences. 82% of teen pregnancies are unplanned, and that's annually. Between the ages of 15 to 24 account for 25% of all new HIV cases and make up roughly half of all new STD cases each year. And they also experience physical and emotional health issues. Secondly, sexual health is important to help communicate about sexuality and sexual health. Communicate with their parents, friends, and intimate partners about sexuality. They're able to freely discuss contraception and condoms, as well as setting sexual behavior limits that they're comfortable with. And also, it helps delay sexual initiation until they are ready to consent. Also, sexual health is important because it helps them understand healthy and unhealthy relationships. Whether they're maintaining a healthy relationship requires skills many young people are not, they have never been taught or they have yet to learn. Also, develop positive communication, conflict management, and negotiation skills. It can also lead to unhealthy and even violent relationships among youth. Sexual health is also important to help them understand value and feel autonomy over their bodies. Comprehensive sexual health education teaches the basics of puberty, but also instills the right to decide what behaviors they engage in and to say no to unwanted sexual activity. Also helps young people examine the forces that may contribute to positive or negative body image. Also helps them respect others' right to bodily autonomy. 8% of high school students have been forced to have sexual intercourse, and having good sex education teaches the young people what constitutes sexual violence and informed consent, and also help them understand that sexual violence is wrong and how to find help if they have been assaulted. Also shows them dignity and respect for all people, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. The past few decades have seen huge steps toward equality for the LGBTQ individuals, and also 82% have experienced some form of harassment due to their sexual orientation, and 38% have experienced some form of physical harassment. Sexual health is also important for adolescents to protect their academic success. Students' sexual health can and often will affect their academic success. The CDC has found that students who do not engage in health risk behaviors receive higher grades on average, and health-related problems and unintended pregnancy can both contribute to absenteeism, dropout, and lack of higher education achievement. So we're going to talk about the generations from the boomers on to our newest babies, Generation Alpha. So we'll start with the boomers, and we're going to talk about it in relation to technology. First, we have our baby boomers. They are known as the post-World War II babies. They are not particularly technology savvy, but some of them are willing to use tech, but they are definitely not dependent upon it. They are the era of cable TV, and their platforms of choice, if they choose to partake at all, is Facebook and LinkedIn. Then for Generation X, they are receptive to tech that improves their daily lives, use it a lot for research, any information that they're trying to find out. They definitely are not real fans of sharing personal information. They have quickly picked up on mobile devices, and they like to use it practically. They are the era of the broadband internet, and they spend on average 6 hours a week on social media, and their platform of choice is mainly Facebook. Millennials, I am one of these. The era of rapid technological advances, 36% use social media for news and to get abreast on current events. 34% use to fill their spare time, while 32% use to connect with friends. And our platform of choice are Facebook and Instagram. Then we have our Generation Z. They are heavily influenced by the connected digital environment. Heavy users of the mobile device, used mostly for content and entertainment. 44% check their profiles hourly, and their platforms of choice, as you can see, as you move forward, it's more and more platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. And Generation Alpha, They are known as the digital natives. They spend on average of 8+ hours per day on some form of social media. They are very trusting. Whatever they see on there, they take it as the truth. Nearly 50% consume their news versus 18% of boomers. 1 in 10 will work in social media. They are becoming preferring more of the digital commerce, even if you think about Roblox, yes, Instagram and TikTok. All right, so if we look at some of the communication styles and key technology by generation, you have we're going to start with the boomers here, with the telephone and the TV. For the key technology, our, I can't see, hold on, Generation X, emails and the PC, the era of getting personal computers. And then millennials, instant messages and smartphones. And then down to Gen Z and Alpha, they communicate with emojis, and they are really into the AR and the virtual reality realm. So the digital proficiency, you have digital immigrants, if we start with the boomers, and then early digital adopters, and then us millennials, digital natives, we grew up with it, and Gen Z and Alpha, they are innates. That's all they know. So here, if we look at this poll that was taken, teens' social media usage is drastically increasing. And there's nearly a 40% increase from 2012 to 2018 in teen social media usage. 27% use it hourly, and 16% have been on to use social media. No, 16% almost constantly, and 27% hourly, which makes up the 70% versus the 34% in 2012. Only 2% of Gen Alpha kids are not using any type of social technology, social media or technology. Kids younger than 12 are more advanced than their tech-savvy parents, and the average age a child gets a smartphone is 12. Mobile devices is the favorite toy for 40% of Gen Alpha, and 34% of parents use tech to calm children, and parental control will be the key to mitigating the negative impact of tech on children. PCMag polled 1,000 parents of school-aged children about when they'd feel comfortable buying their kids smartphones, tablets, laptops, and smart speakers. You have 27% on the tablet side thinks that the appropriate age is from 9 to 11 years old, and 23% age of 12 to 15. And if you look at the mobile phones, 53% of parents said appropriate age is from 12 to 15, while 23% said age 9 to 11. Social media plays a huge role in teen culture today. Teens also have to deal with factors that impact their development, to which generations before did not. 90% of teens aged 13 to 17 have used some source of social media. 75% they have at least one active social media account. 51% of teens visit a social media site daily, at least one, and 2 out of 3 teens own mobile devices with internet access. And 9 hours is the average of spent on social media, which does not include time for their schoolwork. So moving into the aspects of social media, of course, there are positive aspects. It's not all bad. So some of the positive aspects include being able to connect with friends and family, find communities with common interests, sharing artistic expression, enlightenment and increased exposure to new things, marketing and business, and entertainment and education. Some of the negative aspects of social media generally include exposure to harmful and inappropriate content, the existence of predators and cyberbullying, oversharing of personal information, exposure to excessive advertisement, issues with privacy, collection of data, identity theft or being hacked, interference with sleep, exercise, schoolwork, self-esteem, interpersonal communication, and family dynamics. So, negative impacts on social media in relation to adolescents. There is an increased risk of anxiety, low self-esteem, and depression, increased indirect communication versus decreased interpersonal communication, lack of social skills and identification of social cues, affects ability to develop appropriate reactions and responses to body language, facial expressions, vocal tones, and inflections, impedes navigation of relationships and employment, delays experience with social negotiation and conflict resolution, confidence to be cruel, what the kids today call Twitter fingers, body image surveillance, and it can have the option to create unrealistic online identities, which is known as the imposter syndrome. Adolescents can be particularly vulnerable to potential negative impacts of social media on mental health, in part because social connectedness is important for their development. Social media and adolescent sexual health. So some things that are important is that social media is very popular. Social media sites and apps have become world-leading platforms that serve many populations for many reasons. There's a level of comfort there for them. Teens are more comfortable researching and confidentiality within an environment of their peers. Peer education can be an effective tool when the information being provided is accurate. Social media presents an opportunity. The use of social media for sexual health education is a rapidly emerging field. It creates an opportunity to reach teens that are not receiving sexual health education in a formal setting. Creates opportunity for intervention. It offers potential intervention settings to deliver time-limited, brief, targeted messaging to promote access to sexual health information, increase positive behavior change, and reduce risk behaviors. So here are a few tips for working with Generation Z and Alpha. Young people face important decisions about relationships, sexuality, and sexual behavior. The goal is to provide young people with honest, age-appropriate information and skills necessary to help them take personal responsibility for their health and overall well-being. So the first tip is to understand the world and the influence of social media. Maintain an open and honest line of communication with them. Also, elect to use a cooperative and collaborative approach. You want to include them so they don't feel like they're being talked at, and that they have an opinion and that they're being heard. And provide medically accurate information to combat any misinformation that they may be getting in other settings. So some sources of sexual health information for teens include a formal education, which includes schools, youth centers, churches, and other community-based organizations. Then a source also is parents, generally a trusted adult. There are some situations where that's not the case. Open communication versus taboo subjects. Sometimes, some parents are a little bit more liberal when it comes to speaking on this subject, and others are not. Also, knowledge could be limited or inaccurate, but we still say, we always send them back to their parents because that is your first line of a trusted person that should be able to talk to them about this sensitive subject. And also, family dynamics. It's known that females tend to talk to their parents more often than boys. Also, the healthcare providers are very important. They are a source of accurate education and information, access to care and resources. Often not discussed during primary care visits. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable for either the patient or the physician. And also sometimes there may be confidentiality concerns, mostly on the side of the adolescent. And also a main source that they get all their information for, as we've been speaking before, digital media. It's almost universally accessible. You want to be able to meet them where they are, since that's where they spend a lot of their time. And confidential research is something that we talked about that they find trusting, and also making sure that they're able to find credible sources if they choose to use digital media as a main source. So when it comes to providing education, most of the curriculums are either evidence-based or evidence-informed. So when it comes to the evidence-based approach, evidence-based programs have been formally scientifically evaluated and demonstrated effectiveness in achieving desired outcomes. Many may not be effective for participants in other It may not be effective for participants in other contexts, such as different socioeconomic backgrounds and or ethnicities. And when we speak about evidence-informed, those programs have not been the subject of a formal research study, but do incorporate key characteristics of research that has been identified in other programs that have been found to be effective in changing health and risk behaviors. Let's see, where am I here? Also, evidence-informed approach can be defined as the integration of research evidence alongside practitioners' expertise and the people experiencing the practice themselves. Evidence-based, that approach is medically accurate. It maintains program fidelity. That is very important. Make sure it is being implemented as instructed. And there can be minor adaptations made, but not many, because the intended outcome must come as they have researched it. Evidence-informed is also medically accurate, but it's more inclusive and innovative. It's more flexible and adaptable. It's a blended source of knowledge from multiple sources, and it's more up-to-date, and it's with annual updates as well. Over a period of time, health education researchers began to assemble a catalog of characteristics of effective health education curricula based on what the research revealed. A synthesis of all of the relevant literature resulted in a list of 15 characteristics of an effective health education curriculum. These characteristics should be used as a tool to assess whether curricula have incorporated the features most likely to contribute to effective outcomes. This is the HECAT, which is the Health Education Curriculum Analysis Tool. It's an assessment tool developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in partnership with health education experts from states and local education agencies, schools, colleges and universities, and national organizations. This tool is to analyze curriculum, the fundamentals such as learning objectives, curriculum design, culturally responsive and inclusive characteristics, and instructional strategies and material. The results should be used to make health education curriculum decisions that you feel would best fit your population that you serve. So now I'm going to talk about some of the initiatives that we here at the branch, the Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention branch, are working with today. So we work to reduce the incidence of unplanned pregnancies and sexually transmitted infections among teens in Alabama. This is made possible through federal grants awarded to the Department of Public Health by HHS and FSBE, the Family and Youth Services Bureau. We offer two programs, the Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Program, which is our abstinence-based program, and the Personal Responsibility Education Program, which we call PREP, and that is our comprehensive program. Through these grants, funding is made available to local community organizations to assist in these efforts in their local communities. So on the SRAE side, we have 3 subgrantees that were awarded. Tuscaloosa County Health Department, which services the counties of Tuscaloosa, Greene, Perry, and Walker County. Then you have Ella Health. They service the Montgomery County and Lowndes County area. And Dallas County System of Services Incorporated, they service Dallas County exclusively. The goal of SRAE is to provide effective evidence-based abstinence education programs to middle school youth to equip them to resist sexual risk behaviors and to make better choices as they mature into young adulthood. Also, SRA will provide effective evidence-based abstinence programs with fidelity to at-risk youth ages 10 through 19 with an emphasis on youth ages 10 to 14 to promote abstinence from sexual activity. The curriculums that we have selected for the abstinence-based program is Making a Difference, which is we call MAD, and that is with 8th grade participants. And we also have Health Smart, Abstinence, Puberty, and Personal Health with 6th and 7th grade participants. MAD is also implemented in community-based settings as well. So this is Health Smart, Abstinence, Puberty, and Personal Health. It is evidence-informed, comprehensive health education program. It's designed to be highly flexible, as I mentioned before. It's for youth in 6th and 7th grade. There are 10 modules that we've selected out of this curriculum that are to be implemented in 45 to 60-minute sessions. The primary goal is to promote healthy growth and development of youth and give them skills for making healthy choices that would affect lifelong behavior patterns and the quality of their adult lives. The lessons focus on concepts and skills that will enable students to develop, practice, and support specific healthy behaviors. The other one for the SRA program is Making a Difference. It's evidence-based. It's the abstinence approach to teen pregnancy and HIV/STD prevention. The program's goal is to empower youth, adolescents to change their behavior in ways that will reduce their risk of pregnancy and HIV or other STD infections. It draws upon 3 theories: the social cognitive theory, the theory of reasoned action and its extension, and also the theory of planned behavior. It has 2 major concepts: self-efficacy or perceived behavioral control beliefs and the outcome expectancies or behavior beliefs. It's for youth in 7th or 8th grade, ages between 12 and 14 in community-based settings. It's designed to reduce STD, HIV, and pregnancy risk-related behaviors, but also increase positive attitudes and beliefs regarding abstinence, negotiation skills, and confidence in their ability to abstain from sex. On the other side of the house, we have PREP, the Personal Responsibility Education Program, which subgrantees they have been awarded Tuscaloosa County Health Department. They are dually funded, so they receive funds for both programs. And then newly funded, we have the Black Belt Women Rising, who services Marengo and Choctaw counties. The goal of APREP is to prevent pregnancy and the acquisition of STIs among Alabama youth through implementation of effective evidence-based programming in order to promote successful transition to young adulthood. This evidence-based programming will equip youth to resist sexual risk behaviors and to make choices that will promote better health and well-being as they mature into young adulthood. The curricula that was selected for this program is Making Proud Choices, which we call MPC, and then the adaptation for youth in out-of-home care, which is known as MPC Plus, and then we have Sexual Health and Adolescent Risk Prevention, which is known as SHARP, 17 Days, Wise Guys, Health Smart, HIV, STD, and Pregnancy Prevention. This is Making Proud Choices. It's evidence-based, safer sex approach to teen pregnancy and HIV, STI prevention. It has 8 modules, 60-minute sessions. The goal is to reduce the incidence of unprotected sexual behavior among adolescents and help them make a difference in their lives by making proud and safer choices about their sexual behavior. It also addresses the underlying attitudes and beliefs that many young people have about birth control and condoms. MPC Plus is evidence-based as well. It's an adaptation for youth in out-of-home care, comprehensive pregnancy, HIV, STD prevention programs. It's 10 modules, 75-minute sessions. It is to empower in-care adolescents with greater knowledge and self-respect that will encourage them to protect themselves against unintended pregnancies and HIV STD infections. Many young people entering the system have experienced traumas, including neglect and abuse, that can impact their psychosocial and sexual development. Also acknowledges that abstinence is the most effective way to eliminate these risks, encourages the practice of safer sex and condom use, and gives youth in foster care the confidence they need to choose to negotiate better, safer sex practices. SHARP is a one-time class for young people designed to reduce risky behaviors. The goal of the program are to deepen STI HIV knowledge, increase safer sex skills, reduce sexual risk and alcohol use, set long-term goals related to alcohol use and sexual behavior, identify differences between healthy and unhealthy relationships, and promote positive attitudes about development. It's intended for youth age 14 and 19 in 1 3.5 to 4 hour session and small same gender groups of 3 to 7 youth. Oh, missed one. It targets both substance use and sexual risk reduction. SHARP content is always comprehensive, medically accurate, and evidence-based. There are few interventions for adolescents that target both substance use and sexual risk reduction, which is why it was also selected for our program. Higher rates of STIs have been observed among youth involved with the criminal justice system. These adolescents are younger at first intercourse, have a higher number of sexual partners, and report lower rates of condom use than their peers. There are two program components. The first one is the sexual risk reduction intervention. It's an intensive interactive program divided into 5 sections, organized by gender with no more than 10 per session, and identify a safer sex goal to achieve in the next 3 months at the end of the session. Component 2 is motivational enhancement therapy. It's immediately done after component 1. The participants engage in a 1-hour group discussion of alcohol use and sexual activity. A trained facilitator leads the discussion following the techniques of motivational enhancement therapy. The topics include current smoking behaviors, alcohol use and health consequences, and sexual risk behavior reducing strategies in the context of drinking. And then there is 17 Days, which was formerly called What Could You Do? It is an evidence-based interactive DVD online form designed to educate young women about contraception and STDs. It's designed for sexually active girls between the ages of 14 to 19. The initial viewing time is about 45 minutes, over 3 hours of additional sessions. The DVD presents the viewer with different scenarios involving decisions that young women face in relationships. The participants can practice what they would do in similar situations through the frequent use of cognitive rehearsal. The initial session exposes the viewer to the central story. It introduces the relevant characters and presents the key lesson about condom use. It allows the viewer to choose one of 6 vignettes involving possible sexual behavior, and then wraps up the main storyline and hints at the additional context remaining to watch. Preliminary research indicates that giving young women access to 17 Days film leads to better knowledge about the risks associated with different sexual behaviors and a stronger sense that they can carry out safer behaviors themselves. The program settings are in community centers, health clinics, or medical facilities. It could be home-based and used in other community-based organizations. Wise Guys is an evidence-based, male-oriented teen pregnancy prevention program. APREP has designed 4 different cohorts of implementation. It is interactive, fun, and informative. That's the approach. And schools, community, and health centers, sports leagues, and faith-based groups is where it is mostly implemented. Male Responsibility Curriculum Level 1 is designed to prevent adolescent pregnancy by teaching young males self-responsibility in several areas, primarily in the area of sexual development, decision-making, and relationships. Then there's Money Habitudes. The financial literacy curriculum will be the adulthood preparation subject addressed with this curriculum. And then you have Health Smart, HIV, STI, and pregnancy prevention. It's evidence-informed. It's grounded in sound educational and behavioral theory. There are 10 modules of 60 to 75-minute sessions. The goal of the Health Smart program is to promote the healthy growth and development of youth and give them the knowledge and skills to make healthy choices and establish lifelong healthy behaviors. The curriculum can be implemented using the comprehensive program or select only the grade and or subject needed, the subjects that are needed. So we also, alongside of implementing these curriculums, we partner with internal and external digital people to run media campaigns. We are currently partnering with Explore Media to run a year-long campaign. And it normally is going to supplement our messaging that we want to push with our curriculum and all of our other outreach events and activities. So we are using a digital ad display. We also have billboards and publications, and we targeted certain counties that were included for our funding. We have 6 billboards, and there are 16 digital ads that are running this cycle. So here are some. So as you can see, those are gifts. They kind of toggle back and forth, and it's kind of cool. So you have You Are Not Alone. 70% of Alabama teens aren't sexually active, which we want to target those perceived norms versus actual, because a lot of times they think what is in their circle is what everybody else is doing. Then we have the Sexual Health is an important tool of education. And then we also have Protect, Prevent, and Delay to promote delaying strategies. And then over in the corner, you have Be You to encourage them to make their own personal health, sexual health decisions, and that with those decisions, you would have a better chance of attaining your goals. We also have our 2 billboards here, so it's the same, the sexual health, and then we have a vision board, which we want to promote goal setting, which is also included in our curriculum. These are our print ads. They're in the potential college magazine, so as they're graduating, reaching that 17, 18-year-old population. Embrace your youth and decide your future. And then also note to self, attitudes and belief dictate your behavior. As a healthcare provider, you play a critical role in further reducing teen pregnancy rates through the care you provide to your adolescent patients. So some of the areas that are important are making sure that teens need regular healthcare services to receive comprehensive sexual and reproductive health counseling about the importance of delaying the initiation of sexual activity, and also about their contraceptive options. Parental assistance. Parents and guardians also need guidance and information to help them talk with their teens about sex, pregnancy, and contraception. Counseling requires that guidance on which methods would be best for them, the individual patient, and how to use that method correctly and consistently. Providers can help teens make informed decisions based on accurate information. They also provide support, creating an environment in which teens feel welcome and secure, and in which they know their needs and interests are important to those providing their services. Also, as a provider, what can you do? You can make your clinic teen-friendly, private, confidential, respectful, and culturally competent. In some situations, parents may need to be involved. Provide resources and also learn more about the tools and resources for serving teens, as well as detailed STI guidance for those teens. Follow professional guidelines that recommend all teens have their first reproductive health visit between ages 11 and 15 years, with regular reproductive health visits. Also focus on prevention. Understand the current trends in teen pregnancy and how it can be applied in practice. Educate using various methods to increase delay and decrease risk behaviors. So during the clinic visit, you should ask about their past and current sexual and reproductive history. Counsel teens who are not sexually active on the benefits of remaining abstinent and waiting. Counsel those who are sexually active that they can have less sex or decide to not have sex at all. Also inform them of the dual method of IUD or hormonal methods and condom use to prevent pregnancy and STDs, including HIV. Make an informed decision about what contraceptive method would best suit that patient, and counsel them on the importance of and how to use their contraception correctly and consistently. So Contraception Action Plan, it was a partnership formed in 2014 between the CDC Division of Reproductive Health, CAI Inc., and the Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis that led to the Contraceptive Choice Project. CAP provides evidence-based tools for clinicians and their staff to learn to provide evidence-based sexual health care, provide knowledge to encourage well-informed decision-making about contraception, provide same-day contraception on the same day of visit. So I have included some apps and digital tools that teens should have access to, since we are talking about technology. And so first, in the general aspect, there's 3 that I included. It Matters, which is working to transform access to sexual and reproductive health. It provides teens age 14 all the way up to young adults of 24 with accurate, timely information about sexual and reproductive health topics, and also connect users to nearby health services in their area. Then Taboo is a app which has several sections. One, which is of a Q&A section, and the answers are provided by other users. Also provides basic sexual health information. And you have Sex Positive, which is a shame-free sex education smartphone app. It includes games on STD risk factors, safer sex practices, and videos on communication readiness for sex and consent. And then I included under the Clinic Finder, there's an app called HIV Testing Site and Care Service Locator. It locates resources nearby using GPS if they just put their address in. Testing, housing, healthcare centers, family planning, mental health, substance abuse, and other services are also provided on there. And then third, there's 2 that I included under safety and consent. So Circle of 6 is an app where they allow them to put in 6 trusted people, whether it's adults, friends, or whomever, that will receive a pre-programmed alert message, and the user's location will also be dropped if the user finds themselves in an uncomfortable or risky or unsafe situation and they want to get help. Then you have Yes to Sex. It facilitates partner communication about consent before engaging in sexual behavior. So it's kind of like a tool that you would use to, if you're kind of uncomfortable having the conversation yourself, then both of you engage in the app, and it helps make the conversation easier. And then under partner communication, there's an app called So They Can Know, and it is an STD reporting website where people can anonymously notify partners that they may have contracted an STD, because a lot of times people get afraid and they only are concerned about their own treatment, but their partner is not aware. And then even if they engage in intercourse with them again and they get it again, or the worst thing is to pass it around to other people. Then you have under birth control and safer sex, Condom Craze is an app that informs teens about condom use, the male condom, and also you can search for STD testing centers in your area. Then you have Bedsider BC Reminder. It is ran by the National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy. It's designed to promote users to take their birth control regularly and on time. It's just a reminder because we all forget to take medication from time to time. And then you have HPV The Challenge. It tests users' knowledge on HPV facts. It's presented as like a quiz or game type activity. These are some national and state resources. So you have the National Campaign to Prevent Unplanned Pregnancy. Their campaign is Power to Decide. Then you have Sex Etc., the Office of Adolescent Health. Also have the CDC Division of Reproductive Health, Alabama Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy, one of our partners. And you have the central office and local county health departments for the Alabama Department of Public Health. And I would like to just thank you guys for attending and lending the ear, and thank you very much.
The question I have has to do with, I used to run some programs with adolescent youth, specifically boys, and was wondering how if I'm a program, how would I access these services, these resources?
Okay, sure. So yes, we fund some grantees that I mentioned, and they usually go out in the communities themselves and do what we call recruitment. So go to organizations or agencies that service the population that we target, and they would provide an overview of the curriculums that we have and speak with that site's administration, whether it be a director of a community-based organization or a principal. We may even have to go to the board in some cases, depending on who is the decision maker. And then we'll discuss their comfort level of information that they would like presented to their youth. And then we'll decide on a schedule and however we could get it scheduled to do that curriculum. But I have our branch director here, Valerie Lockett, and she can go into a little bit more detail on that matter.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question a little bit more in detail, Bill, for an example, if you were an organization in one of our target areas that's only been funded to implement our SRAE programming, then that particular subgrantee would then talk with you about those programs or curricula that Jasmine mentioned earlier, which are Making a Difference and Health Smart, those are our abstinence-based programs. But if you were a organization that was funded or in a location that was funded by one of our PrEP programs, we have a few more options for you. But that also depends upon the actual subgrantee itself. So as a whole, for the PrEP program, our primary curricula are Making Proud Choices, which is our comprehensive sex ed program, and then we have the Plus program, which is called Making Proud Choices and Adaptation for Youth in Out-of-Home Care. So just to kind of bring it home a little closer for you, for an example, the Tuscaloosa County Health Department, they have been a subgrantee for several years, and they actually are the only subgrantee that we have currently that the facilitators have been trained to implement all of the curricula that were mentioned on the PrEP side of the house. For an example, they can implement Making Proud Choices Plus. They can implement MPC. They can implement 17 days, in which 17 days is geared specifically just for females. They can actually implement Wise Guides, which is geared towards specifically males. They can also implement SHARP, as well as the Health Smart portion of HIV for on the PrEP side of the house. The new subgrantee, which is Black Belt Women Rising, they are new, just funded this year, and they are currently only able to implement Making Proud Choices because that was the curriculum that they selected. So the subgrantees for the PrEP side of the house, they have a choice, so to speak, of the curriculum that they can select, but the primary is MPC. If they know that they have partners where they're going to have that specific male-only population, they can also, when they make their choice in the RFP, that they respond to the announcement when we do release a request for proposal, they can note that they are going to be partnering with male-only facilities, and they will be implementing the Wise Guys curriculum at that time. So, and if that's the case, then we do do that training with the department. So all of our curricular training is either done here at the branch by myself or Jasmine on the SRE side of the house, and we also partner with the Alabama campaign to do some additional curriculum training. So, does that help?
Oh, yeah, great information.
Sure.
If there's a group out there that wanted to contact you or contact, how would they get in touch with y'all?
Well, you can go into the ADPH website and go to our webpage. We do have a webpage where we have the information listed for all of the sub-grantees. You could reach myself or Jasmine by email as well, or you can contact us by phone at 334-206-3012, which is my direct number.
Awesome. Yeah, great information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Like she said, you can contact both of us, and you can find the information on the website under the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Home tab. Thank you.